everyone. Welcome to episode 19 of the Just One N podcast. My name is Liz, also known as Elizabeth Zimmerman. You can find me on Instagram at Just One N podcast, and Ravelry is Algebrina. There's also a Ravelry group for the podcast called the Just One N podcast group. So if you search for that, you can find it. And I'll also put a link down in the show notes below. Speaking of the Ravelry group, make sure that you head over there and introduce yourself. There's an introduction thread. There's a couple other threads. We've got a knit-along going on that I'll talk about a little bit later. And then there's like local goings-ons. Goings-on? Anyway, there's a thread to post like events that might be in the area that you could, if you know about something, post it in there. There's an Ask Me Anything thread, which if you feel like it, put a question there. So anyway, check out the group. There's a couple places that you can participate. So today is Friday, March, 23rd. I think it's the 23rd. I am recording in the morning because I've decided to change up my recording schedule. Not that you particularly care, but every other Friday, I take Eric to the bus stop and he goes to school. But in the mornings, Greg takes Tilda over to his parents' house. Before Eric started school, they would spend every other Friday with my in-laws. They'd just, get to hang out and play and spend some time with their grandparents. And then once Eric started school, just Tilda goes. So unless Eric doesn't have school, in which case he gets to go too. But so today is a Tilda at Grandma's house day. And so I just have to get Eric on the bus and then I come home. I don't have to do the daycare run to get Tilda to the daycare and then come back and then start work. So I've got about an hour between dropping Eric off at the bus stop and coming back and starting work at my house since I work from home. If you haven't watched before, I work for a corporation out in Utah, but I work out of my house because I'm in Pennsylvania. So they don't have any remote offices out here. So anyway, point is that's every other Friday. So I am recording in that hour in the morning where I have some time and I'm awake. And I did this last week. I had to stop because I didn't get everything in time. And then I was going to finish up in the evening, but we had plans and I'll get into that in a second too. And I found that I had a really productive work day, probably because I, was awake and my brain was already going early in the morning. So so I think I like doing this. So for now, that's going to be the new recording schedule. We'll see if I stick with it. I don't have a ton of knitting content this week. I've been pretty much a monogamous knitter. Not quite true. I've been knitting on two different things. But let me tell you what I've been up to lately, because I always start with that. So as I mentioned last Friday, I had recorded in the morning and I was going to record in the evening, but I remembered about halfway through the day that we had been planning to go and see Ryan Hamilton, who is a comedian who I saw in his early days of, starting out in Salt Lake City. There was a comedy club. So I saw him there as just a starting out comedian, and I followed his career for years. And so he was coming to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, which is not that close. It's really about 2 hours away from me, especially when you're talking Friday night traffic. But we had planned on going and then we'd forgotten about it. And then I thought that we had missed it and I realized, it's today when I was looking. So I was talking to my husband. I was like, is there any way we can still make this work? Because I'd really like to go. So we threw everything together last minute. We coordinated with my in-laws. They were willing to keep him overnight because we were going to get back really, really late if we went. So we met up. We drove there and we got to the show in plenty of time. It's a really weird venue. It's at the Steel Stacks in Bethlehem. I think they called it the Music Cafe. So it's like a venue that you can rent out. Like they do weddings there and concerts and like it's an interesting space. They have like a full menu of incredible food. The food was really, really good. Like I got like a beet salad that was delicious and I'm craving it. And now I'm like, it's in Bethlehem. I can't go get it. But yeah, anyway, really, really good food. Very strange venue just because it's so, like, it feels industrial. It's like a really big space, and then they've got the stage, and then you've got tables. And typically, comedy isn't really like dinner theater. It felt a lot like dinner theater, but normally, like, a comedy club is maybe drinks and maybe some snacks, but not like full on dinner. And this was a full on like restaurant with with drinks and yeah. Anyway, so it was an interesting venue, but it was really good. Like, Ryan Hamilton's just a very, very funny comedian. I highly recommend checking him out if you have not heard of him. He has a Netflix special right now. I believe it's called Happy Face. And yeah, he's highly entertaining. And he's a clean comic, which not something I particularly care about, but but some people do. So if you're one of those people who likes comedy but doesn't like all the swearing and dirty jokes that a lot of comedians do, he's a great comic to check out. So that is what we did 2 weeks ago on Friday. Last week, as many of you know, the Edinburgh Yarn Festival is going on, and I was able to join in an EYF envy party. So Paige the Framer of Frame and Fiber in Point Pleasant, New Jersey, and Mary Beth and Helen of the Crafty Toads podcast, and Toad Hollow NJ is their shop. I guess it's Toad Hollow is their shop. Their website's Toad Hollow NJ. They co-hosted an EYF envy party at Paige's shop. So I had another excuse to go up to New Jersey and spend some time with Paige and meet those ladies for the first time. We'd actually connected a little bit over a virtual knit night that Paige hosts, but I got to meet them face to face and chat a little bit. I got to see some of the ladies who I had met the last time I was at Paige's for a knit afternoon a few weeks before that. So it was nice to see everyone again. I got to meet a couple new people, including Paige's husband, Paul Miller, or Miller. His name isn't Paul, apparently. You can't just call him Paul. It's either Miller or Paul Miller. He's a ton of fun also. I got to meet Allison, who is Daisy Lane Designs. It was a really, really fun time. And I have a couple of things to show from that, so I'll show that in acquisitions. But yeah, I decided to just take the day off. I have some vacation time that I still have a couple of days that I haven't scheduled out throughout the year. So I managed to take the day off. I drove up nice and early, got there a little after lunchtime, and Paige and I just hung out and chatted and got her shop ready for the event. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun. There was some really good food too. Not apparently. I mean, I know this about myself. The food is like the best part of most events that I go to. So yeah, the food was really good. I tried Jersey Mike subs for the first time. Somebody brought fruit dip, which, oh, gosh, I love fruit dip. Like marshmallow fluff and cream cheese mixed together. Oh, so good. So anyway, so that was a ton of fun. And it did make you feel better about not being at Edinburgh Yarn Festival, though there was still a lot of really good posts out there that were still making me jealous. I don't know that it's a festival I'll ever get to. I mean, it's in Scotland. Yes, I'm going to Scotland this summer, but that is probably like a once in a lifetime trip kind of thing. I doubt that I'll make it over again, and probably not during the time of the Yarn Festival. But it was fun to live vicariously through everybody else through their posts. If you haven't seen Grace of the Babbles Traveling Yarn podcast, she did some really good vlog posts of the festival, the days that she was there. So anyway, so that was a lot of fun. EYF Envy, very cool. It's just a fun idea, and it was well executed, and yeah, enjoyable time as well. Oh, and then the day after going to New Jersey was Friday, so the last Friday. Our daycare does a parents' night out about once a month. You can pay a little bit extra, like paying a babysitter, to keep the kids there until 9 that night. They technically run at 6 to 9, but my kids usually get picked up at 6, so they just get to stay there. And Greg and I got to go out to dinner. So we went to the hibachi restaurant that's just down the street from us, which we'd never tried before. I'd never done hibachi at all, and we'd never tried this restaurant, so we figured we would give it a go. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I didn't get any video of anything that was very exciting because it just didn't occur to me to pull out my phone. But in looking at YouTube videos later, I realized they've all pretty much got the same tricks. So if you've seen hibachi, that's what we experienced. So anyway, so that was a lot of fun. I think that we'll probably take the kids back sometime because it's just, I think they'd enjoy the show aspect of it. Yeah, and then just a weekend of knitting, not doing much. This week has been crazy because of the snowstorm again. It seems like every time the snow's about to melt, another one dumps on us. So yeah, so that's what I've been up to. Not a whole lot, but the things that I have done have been very exciting. So yeah, it's been a good couple of weeks. So let me talk about some knitting content. I do have one finished object. I don't have it to share with you in person because Greg is wearing it. So you will have seen, if you've seen the episodes before, I've been sharing since October of last year the double knit scarf that I have promised Greg. It's finally done. I really don't know what took me so long because every time I sat down and worked on it, I made a lot of progress. I just didn't sit down and work on it for long stretches at a time. So it just took me a really long time to finish. But so the yarn is Quince & Co. The colors are Frost and Slate. Some of the pictures that I'll be putting in, the lighting's just not very good because I took the pictures when I was done, so it was at night. So it looks black and gray. It's actually a light blue and a dark blue. And I'll try and make sure that at least some of the pictures reflect that. If I don't have any, then I'll take more. So, so that is done. It is double knit. If you have never tried double knit before, it is a really, really good first project. Even if you only do a couple of repeats and you make it like pot holder size, it's a great first step into double knitting because it's a very easy pattern to follow. Like it follows a pattern that is easy to memorize and intuitive. My first double knit project was a pot holder, which was a picture. So it was like a picture of a teapot. And that was a chart where the rows changed every row, or the colors you were knitting changed every row. Like it was making a picture. And that was a lot harder to follow and a lot easier to make mistakes than I did. There's a couple of things where I swapped the wrong color. And you had a right side and wrong side to worry about. Like, anyway, it was a lot easier than that project. It was a lot bigger, obviously, because I made a full scarf, which is why it took me so long. But double knitting wise, technique wise, it's a really, really great starter project. It is free on Ravelry. It's the cubic scarf pattern, and I'll put the link below to my project page, which will have the yarn and the pattern that you can link to or click through to. And yeah, it was a really, really great project, and it's super warm. So I finished it Wednesday, and then Thursday, Greg left the house without grabbing it because it's early in the morning and he didn't see it, even though I put it right next to the door. So I wore it to take the kids to daycare. And yeah, it's really warm and it's really nice. And I didn't block it. I don't honestly think it needs it because it's so sturdy and squishy. Maybe I will someday, but I just don't really see the need. So that's my only finished object. I do have one work in progress that I've been working on. So I talked about this before, but I have more to share. So I was doing a test knit for Rachel Brockman. The test knit is for the Gretna jumper, which is a sweater that is constructed in pieces and then put together, you seam it. And I had finished last time. Ooh, I know I'd had the back finished, which is this right here. So this is the back. The yarn is Yorkshire Medley. The color is, I forget what the color is. So it's Yorkshire Medley. The color is more shrub. It is Wensleydale and Blueface Leicester. So it's a long wool. It is a little bit rougher than merino, but it's really not, it's not terrible. I think that I will most likely be wearing a long sleeve shirt underneath this sweater, but the pattern in the front has eyelets in it anyway, so I'd have to wear a shirt under it regardless. I also have a shawl knit out of the yarn, the States shawl, which I've shown before, which I actually wore this morning. I thought that the yarn would be too rough up against my neck, but it's really not. Like, I've worn it out a couple of times, for like a couple hours or maybe an hour, and haven't had any issues. It's incredibly warm. It is so so cozy. So anyway, so that is the back piece. These are the arm pieces. I don't remember what I had done last time. I can't remember if no, I did not have a sleeve done because I remember finishing it at Pages. So I think I'd had maybe that much progress done on the first sleeve. So they're done now. You have this little saddle portion that is just the cable that comes up. And now I have 2 sleeves. So I finished this sleeve last weekend. And then I am currently working on the front. So it's living in my Daisy Lane Designs bag, which is Allison, so up in New Jersey. I have my awesome twill and print enamel pin on this bag. I have all of my yarn balled up now from Flying Fibers. And I'm working on the front. So I'm making pretty good progress. I've already gotten through 1 cable repeat. I'm about 1.5 repeats in. So this is the front. So it is going to be these cables up the whole front. And then I've got to piece it together, and then I've got to knit the collar, and then that's it. I'm going to put it in some of the project page pictures. This pattern has been released. It was released on Monday, the 20th, and it's available on Ravelry. I will link it below. It's a really, really pretty sweater. Like, she released the pattern pictures to us pretty recently because she didn't have the sample finished when we started test knitting. So she released the pictures, and I gasped when I saw it because all we had to go off of before was the schematic. So it was like a little sketch, and like you could kind of get an idea of what it was going to be. But actually seeing the cables together, just so pretty. So I am really, really excited for this sweater. I think it's just going to be gorgeous. I'm really liking the pieced construction because you bang out 1 piece at a time. So I'm about 3/4 of the way through my sweater, and you kind of have a little finished object every once in a while. Like when I finished the back, that was a woohoo moment. So if you would like to see a breakdown of the sweater itself, like information on all the different elements and just kind of like a commercial for the sweater, Irina of the Stories with a Shepherdess podcast, she does a really great rundown video, so I'll link that or put it in the little eye. I've never done that before, so so yeah, you should check out that video. But it's a really, really fun sweater to knit. I highly recommend it for anybody, especially if you love cables. I am trying cabling without a cable needle, which I hadn't really done before. I thought I knew how to do it in theory, and I was like, it's too fiddly, you're gonna lose your stitches. But apparently I'd been doing it wrong, so I looked it up again. I used the Very Pink Knits tutorial because I look at her tutorials first for everything that I'm looking up online. And it was very good. So that has made me very confident in cabling without a needle, or without a cable needle. I didn't do that with the sleeves. I used the cable needle for all of the sleeves. But I've been doing it for the front, which I really like so far. So I may do that from now on. At least a 2x2 cable, maybe a 3x3. I don't know. At that point, you might be stretching it as to whether I have any confidence in the process, but one thing that I really like about this pattern, so the cables, it's basically 3 cable sections that are repeated, but if you look within the cable section, you've actually got 2 different cables. You've got 2 that go up the side, and then you've got this one in the middle that makes the little shapes, and this is probably out of focus and can't really see what I'm talking about, but Maybe I'll put in some pictures if it is. But what I love about this pattern is that sometimes when you've got multiple cables, you've got multiple cable charts and you've got to follow them separately. Rachel has put these charts together. You've only got one cable chart that you follow for the front. You've got one cable chart that you follow for the sleeves. So you're only worrying about one chart at a time. And I am reading the chart. I did the swatch from the written directions. I started doing the front from the written directions, and then I was like, I'm gonna just bite the bullet. I'm gonna try using the chart, and I'm really enjoying it so far. So I feel pretty confident that I'm doing it right. It's pretty easy to read, so it's a really great pattern for learning charts too, because she's got the chart and the written directions right there next to each other. So if you're like iffy on interpreting something in the chart, you can look at the written directions, glance down an inch, look at the written directions and see, check what you thought that you were gonna do. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. All right, I think that's all I have to say about that sweater. I'm really hoping that I get it finished within the week. I'd like to, not particularly for any reason, but I miss working on other projects. I am not a monogamous knitter, and now with my double knit scarf done and working on this, I'm just dying to work on something else. So I don't normally do a what's next on my needles section, but I have not had a sock on my needles since I finished the Christmas socks. I knit the second one as my Christmas Eve cast on, and I think I finished that in like January. Yeah, I think January. So I haven't had a sock cast on for a long time. So I've decided it's time to do another sock. I do still need to finish my Quist mitt, which I'm doing for our Knit Your Blank and Sock Blank Cal with the Woolslayers. Yeah, I will finish that. I may not finish by the deadline. Maybe I will. I don't know. I'd have to put the sweater aside to finish by the deadline, I think. So we'll see. I may or may not. But anyway, but you should definitely participate in the Knit Your Blank and Sock Blank. I'll talk about that more at the end though. But I have not had a sock on the needles, and I picked up this great yarn from Yakagani Yarns when I was at Vogue Knitting Live. It's green and brown and some natural color in there with a brown mini to go with it. I have been meaning to knit jelly roll socks. I tried once and the heel wasn't really working out for me, so I just kind of gave up on it. But I'm going to give it another go. And if the heel doesn't work, I'll just switch it up and I'll do a different heel. But I would like to use this yarn for that. So I am planning to cast that on soon because I don't have any portable knitting right now. The Quist mitts they've got enough of a pattern that I can't just take it anywhere with me. I tried knitting on them at the retreat, the Flying Fibers retreat at the beginning of last month, and I didn't make any progress on them. So they just take too much concentration. So I need a sock that I can take anywhere and work on. That was my double knit scarf. That tells you how easy it was. That was my portable knitting. I mean, I messed up a few times. Like, you do have to pay attention to your colors, but it is fairly mindless. At least there's no like checking a pattern. You just have to, if you've memorized the pattern, you just have to be careful of watching your stitches. But anyway, so I am going to cast on a sock sooner than later. But that's all I've got right now on the needles. I'm going to tease this. Paige and I are working on a knit along together, a knit along collaboration, which is going to include a prize from her that she donated to me and a virtual cast on party. So we're still working out the details, but keep an eye out for that. We'll have more details to come soon. I've been doing some virtual knit groups lately, and I just love being able to interact with people that way. So we're gonna do something similar with a virtual cast on party. So more to come on that. So I do not have that many acquisitions. Weird, right? So one, I got some ink cartridges for my Lamy pens. I know that a few of you are pen fanatics or pen fans or, into the fountain pen world, much like I am. So I have a couple of Lamy, Lamy, Safari pens, which don't come with a cartridge converter initially, but I have some really cool ink samples that I got around Christmas time, that I want, or not Christmas, that I got around a month or so ago that I'd like to use with my pens. And so I needed some cartridges. So I picked those up, which super exciting. I have a couple of things that are coming. There's a couple of giveaways that I've actually won, which is exciting. So those are going to be on their way. I've also ordered a little bit of yarn. I've ordered another Tanny Casey bag, which I'm really excited about, which you'll see on the next episode because I know that she's already shipped it, or you can check out my Instagram because I posted it there. And I think that's it mail-wise. So you'll see a lot of that upcoming. All right, so that's later in the day. I had recorded this morning, and I haven't actually started editing yet, but something arrived in the mail, so I had to show you guys. This is a bag that I just ordered, like literally just ordered. I think I ordered it on Wednesday or Tuesday night, and I got the shipping notification yesterday, and it arrived today. This is from Tanny Casey, and I will put the link down here so you can see. This is her extra large tote bag, and I got it because I carry around a lot of whips. If you've ever interacted with me outside of my home, I usually have at least 4 projects with me, because I'm a very fickle person and I never know what I want to work on. So I wanted to get this as my new knitting bag, and it is huge. It is so big. I love it. I think she advertises it as a beach bag, but I like knitting. So so inside it has a magnetic clasp. There's also some great pockets in here. There's 1, 2, 3. There's 4 pockets, including a fairly slim and short one that you can keep a pen in. I think she does that in a lot of her bags, which I love. Yeah, this is amazing. I am so excited to have this bag. I have quite a few Tanny Casey bags. If you've seen my podcast before, my purse that I use, every day, my everyday purse, is one of her tote bags in a waxed canvas. It's green. It has a brown leather base, and I love it. It also has those pockets, including one for a pen. I have a project bag of hers that is also waxed canvas, that I keep most of my pins on. And then I also have a little coin purse from her, and I think that's it right now. But yeah, I love her bags, and she has very affordable pricing for the high quality bags that she creates. She also sent along for you guys a bag to include in a giveaway. So this is her, I believe this is the large drawstring bag. It's got a hugely sturdy base. The fabric is very sturdy also. It's got a pocket inside with some grommets. This is canvas, I think, on the inside. It's a really, really great bag. This is very similar to the waxed canvas bag that I have, my project bag that I keep my pins on. So she included this bag to do as a giveaway. I'm going to do it on Instagram. So you're hearing about it here, but go to Instagram to actually enter. I'm not sure on the details yet, but it'll be in the, in the post itself. So make sure that you check that out. A couple of things that I got at the EYF Envy Party, just like door prize kind of things. So Paige gave everybody a thank you for coming gift kind of thing. She had these wrapped up in tissue paper, the colors of the Scottish flag, and mine was a skein of Cascade Sunseeker, which is like a, I guess, would you say taupe? Maybe? I think I'd call it taupe. But it's got sparkle in it. So I don't know if you can see that at all. It may not show up, but there's some sparkle, and it's actually kind of like a green and blue. It's like an iridescent color. It's really pretty. And then the Crafty Toads also did a thank you for coming gift, and they made these cute little pouches, notions pouches, tea pouches, whatever you want to call them, which are the most adorable thing, and says, who needs EYF? We're at Frame and Fiber. And it's got their patch on the back. So it's super cute. Inside there's some tea. There's a David's tea sachet. And then there was a chocolate in here, but that's gone. So, and some light bulb stitch markers are in here too, which I've already pulled out and started using. So, so adorable. Like, this was so sweet of them to make and give to everybody. They also had door prizes. I didn't win any of them, but some raffle prizes. But it was, like I said, it was just a fun time. I really enjoy those ladies. So I think that's it. So that's it for acquisitions. Like I said, you'll see more next week, but that's all I have at the moment. Last thing I'll talk about is the Knit Your Blank and Sock Blank Cal. So that is ending March 31st. So you've got a little bit more than a week to finish it up. You can knit anything you want. It doesn't have to be socks. I am personally knitting a pair of mitts. The Quist Mitts by Melanie Berg. So you can hop over to my chatter thread and just pop in for some chatter. I am going to be pulling a couple of winners from the chatter thread. So if you haven't, make sure you jump in there because I do have a couple of patterns that my friend Jamie gave me. She released a pattern last month called the Snowflake Cowl, which is a beautiful colorwork cowl that she gave me a couple copies of the pattern to give away. So I want to use my chatter thread to give those away and get that pattern out there to some folks. So hop over to chatter. If you have finished objects, go put them in the finished object thread. I think we've got 2 in there so far. So chances of winning are pretty good at the moment. And then also make sure that you're posting in the Woolslayers too. So I know that they have a prize for their finished object thread. They have a bag and a pair of scissors that they're giving away. The prize for my group is this skein of yarn. It is from Tempting You Yarns. The color is called Starfish, and it's on the Yuso Sparkly sock base. So it is sparkle. There is 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% sparkle. Fingering weight. So that yarn, there's also a little star stitch marker on it. And also from Needle Goods, a pair of scissors were donated. So there's, this is a fleur-de-lis pair of scissors. They're really pretty. They're very sharp too. So, and then a Paris fob with the Eiffel Tower on it and some beautiful beads. So that is the prize for my finished object winner. So if you are participating, make sure you post. It's ending March 31st, so I'll probably close the thread probably the following morning. I don't know that I'll be on at midnight to close it, but so March 31st is when that knit along ends. And I think that's everything. So this may be a little bit shorter of an episode. Pick a number between 1 and 17. 15. All right. All right, so that is Leanne Erickson. Leanne said, I enjoyed your podcast. I found your podcast while watching Christy Glass's podcast. Congrats on the 300 subscribers. Thanks. I'm going to guess it was one of the suggested videos while you were watching Christy Glass's podcast. Not that she mentioned me, because I'm not sure that she watches. Although I did give her a card when I was in New York. So anyway, congratulations, Leanne. If you can get in contact with me and let me know your address, then I will send the yarn over to you. Thank you for joining me today. I will hopefully see you again in a couple of weeks. We'll see if I stick with my recording schedule. If not, I'll see you again when I record another episode. So thanks again for joining me. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye. dog. So. Ow. Ow, I just bent back my nail. Oh, that hurts so bad. Oh. I don't know that I'll be on at midnight. I really hurt my thumb.